this year was, I mean, every year it seems like it's really good for people who play games on PC. PC gamers, as it were. I myself have become increasingly into PC games, but a lot of things happened this year. Tell us, like, it seems more cost effective than ever to own a PC and play games on it, if I'm not mistaken. Can you talk about that a little bit with like new graphics cards and new kind of like, I don't know, customizable PC options?
Yeah, if we're going to talk about hardware, the PC hardware is the graphics cards, CPUs, like SSDs have been about the same price with every iteration, but the boost you get in performance from the previous generation is like, it's getting better and better and better. So especially if because most people are still gaming on 1080p. So, I mean, if you're going to be gaming in 1080p and you have like a 1070, you're going to be able to max out everything pretty much. I mean, The Witcher 3, if you go back to last year, looks great and runs well. A lot of games in 2016 we can get into this later, but some performance problems. But the games that do run well, you can max that out. Even I'm playing Doom 3, which came out this year. I'm still on a 970, and I'm maxing that out, and it runs incredibly well. So if you go to 1440p, or if you even want to try 4K with hardware and graphics cards that came out this year, it's possible. So, and it's bright. The future is bright for PC hardware, and 2016 is a showcase of that.
Yeah, I remember like midway through this year, maybe when what were the graphics cards that got announced and we're like, holy shit, that price for that, was that the GTX?
I think the 1060 was the first one. Maybe that was like shocking.
I think the 1070 was probably the boldest statement.
Was that 250?
No, the 1070 MSRP was around 400, but it was outperforming the 980 Ti, which was like the super duper dope ass graphics card from the previous generation.
It also seems like a year when people who might have been on the cusp of like, I don't know how to build a PC, I don't know what I need myself. I'm not that knowledgeable when it comes to this stuff, but this is the year I actually started looking into it. It felt much more like it was even more accessible because it's not the most accessible platform at all. That's why consoles are appealing to so many people. You have what you have. I think Scott Butterworth once used like a metaphor, like a console is kind of an apartment you rent, and like when you get a PC, it's more of a house. You own it, but you have to take care of it a lot more, and your landlord's not going to maintain it for you. I think it was Scott. That sounds like a Scott metaphor, and it works because I don't actually have to like. With a console, this is obvious. I don't have to worry about all that stuff. But this year was the one when I first started approaching it, actually being like, oh, I can get into this. And that's what like those announcements and everything. And like speaking to you, speaking to Peter, speaking to Jimmy, it just seems like it's easier than ever to build a PC that's like right for me.
Yeah, especially with tools like PC Part Picker. It's very everyone talking on like PC gaming centric forums. It boils down to just picking out the parts, and then building your PC is like playing with Lego blocks. Essentially, you just put it into place, you boot it up. You might have a problem like Peter had earlier last week.
My power supply died.
Yeah.
It's no fault of my own.
It happens, man. Like, I don't know what I tell you to do, but I mean,
yeah, it's a reality you have to face. Sometimes these things will kick the bucket because you are taking components from all manner of manufacturers, and it's a lot of variables. Some things might go wrong.
Yeah, it's tough to look back over the past year and just say this was consigned to this year because it always seems like developers have trouble every once in a while porting games to PC. I mean, last year I think the biggest one that stood out was Arkham Knight because it was so vastly different on PC and it was broken for a while. And I remember like people like had to like specifically review it on PC because it was so bad. But there were a few bad ports this year, and it's tough again to point that out because it's like a case by case basis. Like I'm not a developer. I don't know everything that goes into like considering all the hardware that these games have to run on and whatnot, and what like the specs would be. Whereas again, the console's set. We looked at Mafia 3 was kind of not performing crazy well on PC. Dishonored 2 for a really recent one, I think still has ongoing problems when we're talking about that, as opposed to its performances on Xbox One and PS4. But I believe in the report card that you're working on, you mentioned a few questionable ports. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so you mentioned Dishonored 2 and Mafia 3. The thing though is that it's frustrating for PC gamers. Like, I'm going to drop this money on a computer and I want it to run well. And you get that for the most part. But when high profile games like Dishonored 2, especially, I know Rob was talking about how he has like a decked out computer and he's having trouble with frame drops. And the thing with that is that they're inexplicable when they happen. And like you'll be in a certain space and you'll be getting a good 60 plus. And then you'll be turning to another space that isn't that graphically different, and then you'll drop to like 40 or 30, and it's like, wow, why did that happen? And it's tough to figure out. So then you have to wait for post-release patches for them to figure that kind of stuff out. And when you compare it to consoles, it's like on consoles you're gonna get like 30 and some frame drops maybe. But on PC, when you're bouncing between 60 plus and then down to 40 and back to 60 plus and back to 40 and 30, it's jarring when you play it. So it's like when I'm on the Muni and like the bus driver's like stop and go, like that throws you off. And that's kind of like how it is with performance issues in these games.
Right.
So you can only hope for a patch that will help that sort of problem, so I can make the game a little bit more playable. So it happens. 2016, there was a lot of instances of that, and I hope that 2017 would be better, but I don't know.
And it's still the case where we see like when a new big game comes out for PC, there have to be new drivers issued for the card. You know what I mean? Like, what a weird relationship for this technology and software to have.
Sure. It is frustrating because it seems like a lot of times PC gamers the release date for the game is like December 6th, but for PC players it's really like December 21st or something. I don't know. For instance, it's unfortunate because they have to just keep waiting out and like reading developer blog posts where I'm sure the developers are trying to figure out just as hard. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but it's unfortunate. I don't know. I do want to get into the software. Okay. Because there were a lot of good PC games, like PC focused or just like PC games that were like also on consoles. The first one I want to talk about as one of my favorite games of the year, and it is on PS4 and Xbox One, but it's also like its home is on PC, or at least I like to think so. Overwatch. I think we've been playing this early access before it released on PC for a while. PC is where all these that's where I go for like the Halloween events and the Christmas events and whatnot. And it's as a traditional shooter player, I prefer mouse and keyboard to controller. Overwatch, like Blizzard nailed it again. They step into a new genre and they just kind of figure out what makes it tick and they put their own take on it. And I think this is the best hero shooter there is for like like a subgenre or whatever you want to call it that has exploded in recent months and years. I don't know. Are you a big Overwatch player?
Yeah, I play a lot of Overwatch. I had it for PS4 and PC because a lot of my homies play on PS4. Mm-hmm. But it's like you said, its home is on the PC because of how fast and how precise you have to be with certain characters. It works well on console because of the abilities adapt well to a controller. But like the competitive play, like if you're serious about competition, especially when Blizzard and Overwatch are trying to establish like the Overwatch League for making it like a legit esport
with like regions and cities and teams. That sounds so cool to me. As like a fan of traditional sports, that just is really appealing to me. I'd be super into like, I don't want to make up its mascot, the San Francisco Slayers. When we're done throwing up, let's get back into Overwatch. Anyway, sorry to interrupt with that.
Oh no, it's all good, man. But
great suggestion.
But yeah, the Overwatch League, it's gonna take over on PC, but just because like the level of play is much higher, and that's the type of game that you want to play on PC.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like another huge year for Firaxis in general. Two of my favorite franchises, Civ 6 came out. Scott Butterworth reviewed it, gave it a 9 out of 10. He says it's one of the best, these games are changed with their expansions. 5 after Gods and Kings and Brave New World became what Civ 5 could have been, and it's perfect. Like its perfected version once those released. Civ 6, Scott called it, and I agree, the best initial release in the series ever. A lot of people were giving it shit for being like cartoony looking and kind of like they were trying to make it more accessible. I don't think that's the case. I think like by expanding these cities, you can go for hours, and we've done this before, into like what has changed. But I don't know, for like just the next numbered entry in the Civ series is one of my favorites, and I played a lot of it. I want to play more, but I was too busy playing another Firaxis game, which we can get into. But yeah, Civ 6. I don't know. Did you guys get the chance to play this? Because this is it released kind of right before that huge rush of like Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, Call of Duty, everything, that fall release, and it was kind of right before that, unfortunately, so I don't think people got to spend as much time with it. I don't know if you guys devoted too much time to Civ 6.
I literally installed it on my PC this morning so I can play it before we start to rank games.
I don't know, Michael, did you get a chance?
Yeah, I played a little bit of Civ. I played more Civ 5 than I did 6, but I understand how 6 plays into the series of Civilization and how it's a much more complete package. I think also, if we're going to keep talking about Firaxis, like XCOM 2, I think is even it's a bigger step for the XCOM series than Civ 6 was for the Civilization series. Yes. Not to say that either one's better than the other because they're both like
two separate teams inside for Axis. Like Jake Solomon
Right.
heading up XCOM, and then like in this case Ed Beach, just different people rotating through. But yeah, same studio.
But they was on point this year, dude.
I wish it hadn't got brought up because I could talk about it forever. But XCOM 2, that was February. It feels crazy long. But now it's on like consoles as well. But on PC, I mean, the ease of use. There were definitely technical hiccups, but I think Firaxis figured out exactly not just what made XCOM Enemy Unknown great, but how they could make a legit sequel that doesn't just like push what Enemy Unknown did, but actually do new things that make you think about that formula in a way that layered, RTS, and then there's the turn-based, and then there's the RPG elements of the individual characters, just those three layers interacting with each other. This was one of my favorite games this year. It's one of my favorite games on PC ever, I think, and this game is unreal, and I think if you have a PC or if you have consoles now, you should play this and try it out.
Yeah, XCOM 2, I was a big fan of XCOM when I was like a little kid. I watched my brother play it, and that was like super dope. Like that was my entrance into like strategy games.
Yeah.
So when they made a resurgence with Enemy Unknown in 2012, I was like, oh, this is great. And then but XCOM 2 takes it a step further, and I think that I always felt like I was on my toes. Like you have to deal with failure. We were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
In XCOM 2, like you're going to fail at some point in some way.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to move on and learn from that. And it does a good job, because then a lot of games, modern games, where if you die, you just go back to whatever checkpoint you're in and you continue on.
Sure.
But like XCOM 2, like the consequences of failure are you feel them in XCOM 2, and you learn from that. And I think that not that maybe more games should do that,
Definitely.
but if they do that, like kind of like almost Dark Souls-esque.
Yep. Yeah, that is the comparison. And I actually think this makes failure more meaningful than Dark Souls.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
That's probably controversial. But anyway, World of Warcraft Legion, another big expansion. That game, people are still playing it after how many years? 12?
213 years.
Yeah, I think you're closer. It was good. It sounds like they added a new class, the Demon Hunter, courtesy of Diablo 3, I believe, or just Diablo and Blizzard lore in general. Justin liked that a lot. I think we ended up freelance reviewing that.
Yeah.
We like that. Owlboy, Pete, you liked it a lot. PC exclusive.
For now, it's coming to consoles.
They do have plans to come to console.
Yeah.
That was also a while in the making between the art, like just
9 years.
Yeah, a lot of games. This year, 2016 was the game like when people finally like sat down to finish these off and get
then
into
I
our
reviewed
hands.
them.
Yeah, you did all
Apparently.
3 or all. I don't even know how many, but
Yeah.
Owlboy, great experience from what you tell us.
Super just awesome characterization of the world through music and graphics, and animations bring the characters to life with excellent writing that reveals new sides of them that you never really saw coming, and you didn't expect the game to go there in some ways. So
Another title that Michael, you've been championing for quite a while, and I'm glad you're here. Quickly, Quadrilateral Cowboy, why should we play it?
Because it's dope. But art style and unique gameplay elements. And a story you can unravel for yourself.
Focus on hacking.
it's like a more real Watch Dogs.
Sure.
With that like jazz punk kind of looking.
Yeah,
style.
yeah. If you
Don't
like
take my
jazz,
summary at all. That's not it. Yeah.
if you like jazz punk, get that.
Cool. People have been kind of a lot of people are kind of lamenting the RTS genre, saying it's in decline. This year was actually there were a lot of RTS releases. On PC, I mean, Deserts of Karak, I played a little bit. I loved it. I think that game, the story actually itself, it's kind of like I play StarCraft games for the story, not the competition. Deserts of Karak, if you want a really good RTS story, delve into that. Total War Warhammer, I think it took what made Total War great. It made a few changes to the Total War formula. It's more on a rectangular field. If you're a Total War fan, you know what I'm talking about. Combine it with Warhammer franchise, property. A lot of people like that. There's Ash of the Singularity, which didn't really shape up, but in terms of scale, that was really impressive. But in general, great year for the PC library. And like I said, it's the year I finally got into building PCs and whatnot, or at least like taking the first few tentative steps into it and kind of more accessible.
And VR is a part of it too.
Yeah.
I know we talked about VR distinctly,
Sure.
but yeah, I mean, PC is the home of VR.
Cool. Anyway, so Michael Hyam, your PC report card, end of the year report card will be up on GameSpot. If you're not watching this live, you can go read that. If you're watching this live, that'll be up in the next few days. We have these coming up in the next, coming weeks. And go read that. Check it out.